Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Manitoba Day to all of you. Thank you for joining me. So our government is taking strong action to protect Manitobans from the spread of COVID-19. And as you know, all kindergarten to grade 12 schools in Winnipeg and Brandon are moving to remote learning effective today until May 30th. In addition, early learning and childcare facilities in Winnipeg and Brandon will experience reduced attendance of school-aged children, which could affect more than 10,000 childcare spaces. We know this proactive measure, at the direction of our public health officials, will help to mitigate the transmission of COVID-19. However, we also recognize it will have a significant impact on families and the early learning and childcare sector. So today I'm pleased to announce that our government is providing up to $1.9 million to offset childcare sector losses and cover school-aged parent fees for families during this period. Je suis donc heureuse d'annoncer aujourd'hui que notre gouvernement fournit jusqu'à $1,9 million pour compenser les pertes du secteur des services de garde et couvrir les frais de scolarité des enfants d'âge scolaire pendant cette période. This funding to ELCC facilities will help to offset any loss of revenue as a result of the move to remote learning, and will be provided to affected facilities in addition to their continued operating grants. I want to also assure parents of children in these spaces that they will not be expected to pay childcare fees and that they will retain their childcare spots during this period. This new support will help ensure parents do not pay for childcare spaces that they cannot use, and will protect facilities from financial hardships while they cannot accept school-aged children during this period of remote learning. My department will be reaching out to affected facilities in short order to share details on access to the new funding. In addition, I want to take this opportunity to recognize the ongoing commitment of the childcare sector to providing quality childcare while also ensuring that precautions are taken to prevent the spread of COVID-19. To that end, our government is increasing our monthly investment in PPE for childcare workers by an additional $415,000 per month. This will increase the allocation of protective masks to the sector from 100,000 to 1.1 million units per month. Notre gouvernement augmente notre investissement mensuel en EPI pour le travail des services de garde des enfants avec un montant supplémentaire de $415,000 par mois. This will enable the provision of 4 masks per day for staff, up from 1 per day. We're also enhancing the protection of children and staff by increasing the quality of the masks provided to level 3 medical grade, up from level 1. Our government takes the health and safety of children and our childcare workers seriously, and that is why I'm pleased to be able to announce these measures today to support the ELCC sector and Manitoba families affected by the move to remote learning in Winnipeg and Brandon and the ongoing third wave of this pandemic. In addition, I wanted to note that we know with the increased restrictions due to the third wave, many parents may be looking for childcare. I just confirmed this morning that we have 4,173 vacant spaces in our system, spaces that our government has continued to flow the operating funding for despite being empty. I would urge any Manitoba family who needs childcare to use our online childcare finder to help find spaces for your children. I would also like to highlight 2 recent announcements from our government that are important for the sector: our 5-day pandemic sick leave program and the paid vaccine leave. The Manitoba Pandemic Sick Leave Program will offer employers up to $600 per employee for up to 5 days of COVID-related sick leave. These days don't have to be taken consecutively and include testing, vaccination, and side effects, self-isolation, or care for a loved one. I would strongly encourage all childcare centres to take advantage of this program to support their workers when they need COVID-related relief. In addition, It is more important than ever that all Manitobans get vaccinated as soon as possible. The Vaccination Task Force has rapidly reduced the age of eligibility in the last few days, and we need all Manitobans to go online or to call in and book their appointments. We know that work schedules can sometimes get in the way of booking your appointment at the earliest opportunity. That is why I was pleased that my colleague, Minister Fielding, announced that we are taking steps to introduce 3-hour paid leave to receive your vaccination. This initiative will make it mandatory for employers, including childcare centres, to allow their employees up to 3 hours of paid leave each time the employee requires a dose of vaccine. Getting vaccinated as soon as possible, once eligible, is the most important thing that you can do to combat COVID-19 right now. Please do not let your work schedule put off getting your vaccine. It is safe, it is the right thing to do for your family, for your friends, and for all Manitobans. Thank you, and I'm happy to take your questions.
Thank you, Minister. A reminder to our reporters on the line, you will have one preliminary and one follow-up question this afternoon. Up first, from CHVN, Taylor.
Hey, good afternoon. What supports do you have for home daycares during this time? Are they included in these just announced supports?
So home daycares would have the same supports available if they're licensed through our department that any other child care centre has. I want to specifically mention that the 1.9 today was specific for those before and after school programs that are shut down because of the move to remote learning. So if they are in that category, they will also qualify, and my department is sending out a circular right now to all of our centres to ensure that they have that information and know how they can apply to get reimbursed for those parent fees.
Thanks. And earlier this year, you commented on the impact that the closures had on parents and families. What are you expecting to see with this round of closures?
Absolutely. We know that the sector has been in a great state of flux. It is an anomaly to see 4,100 vacancies in our childcare sector. We know that that means that there are 41 fewer Manitobans who are working today than before the pandemic, and we want to ensure that all Manitobans get back to work as soon as possible in the post-pandemic era. And we know that having a strong, robust childcare sector is essential to that post-pandemic recovery. That is why our government made historic investments in childcare this budget. Budget 21 invested more than $25 million more in childcare than was ever invested in this province's history. And we will continue to make those investments in building a strong, stable childcare sector because we know that it is definitely a plank to our recovery and essential in terms of growing our economy.
From the Winnipeg Free Press, Dylan.
Hi, Minister. Thanks for taking our questions today. Could you please walk me through some of the costing for this initiative? I was talking about the $415,000 a month, if that was for, the roughly 4,000 spots that you'd mentioned, or if it's for a different number of full-time equivalent spaces, because you mentioned that this is, the before and after school places.
Right. So thank you so much for your question, Dylan. Always a pleasure to hear from you. I hope you're staying safe and well. So today's $1.9 million, of course, was for those centres that are going to, that are being closed because they were attached to a before and after school program and supporting a facility in the city of Winnipeg or Brandon. We have also done other measures to work with any of our childcare providers. Earlier last month, we'd flowed $4.4 million to wipe off the deficit that any childcare centre was having on their books so that they could maintain, that they could be whole. Because our message has always been, do not charge parent fees for a space that they're not able to utilize because of a COVID-related shutdown or circumstance. And we want to ensure that our childcare centres are kept whole. And so that is what some of our investments have been made. But today is specific to the before and after school programs.
Thanks. And sorry to double barrel it here. I'm wondering if you have the number of kids that would fall under that. And I'm separately wondering about the National Housing Strategy. We're into the third year of this federal program, and I'm just curious if you're satisfied in what Ottawa has been able to provide so far for affordable housing in Manitoba.
So I believe that the number of children that will be affected is about 10,000 based on the move to remote learning in Winnipeg and Brandon. So that is the number of school-age spaces that we are closing for the 3-week period. And in terms of the National Housing Strategy, we know that we have, it is incumbent on all governments to work together to A, address homelessness, and B, to ensure that we've got affordable housing for all Manitobans. And that is something that our government has done. We were very pleased to work with the federal government on a $12 million rapid housing initiative for the city of Winnipeg. We didn't think that went far enough. We felt that it needed to be for all jurisdictions in the province, and that is why recently I flowed $12 million to other municipalities outside of the Winnipeg region for rapid housing. I can also tell you that we see an urgent need for rapid housing. That is why we've prioritized housing for 735 Manitobans in the last year or so who were either experiencing homelessness, who were precariously housed, or fleeing domestic violence and needing to get into housing. And I can also tell you that a few months back during the winter, when we saw that there was a very urgent need, we found about 60 vacant Manitoba housing units that could be utilized if they were renovated, so we quickly renovated them. And we had rapid housing initiatives where we found 60 people who were actually homeless, and we found them, paired them up with a living accommodation, gave them keys to a new home. But we know that keys are not the answer to everything. They also need wraparound supports, and so we invested $2.2 million in wraparound supports, mental health supports, addiction supports, access to training if they want to upgrade their skills, and sometimes some just basic life skills and a friendly conversation. And so our team has been diligent in working with these clients to ensure that they have that they are comfortable in their new homes and receive the supports that they need.
From the Brandon Sun, Kyle.
Good afternoon, Minister. You mentioned just a couple of minutes ago that 10,000 children are impacted by the move to remote learning in both Brandon and Winnipeg. How many facilities does that equal out to exactly?
I will get that number for you. I believe it's over 400 schools in Winnipeg and 25 or between 25 and 50 in Brandon, but I'll get a specific number in terms of how many schools are attached to these 10,000 spaces of before and after school programming that are being impacted.
And how exactly is this $1.9 million being distributed? Is it based on the size or the amount of students they have exactly?
According to their spaces. So obviously the centres would be receiving parent revenue from these spaces. We're asking them not to charge that parent revenue. So this afternoon what my department is doing is sending out a circular to all the impacted childcare centres with information and an application form, as well as a declaration to state that they have not charged those parent fees, or that if they already have charged the parent fees that they will be reimbursing them. And then once we receive all that information, we will be flowing them a commiserate amount of money that would cover all their losses for not collecting parent fees.
Thank you.
From the Winnipeg Sun, Josh.
Good afternoon, Minister. This funding is for the next 3 weeks. If the lockdown or the orders to close school continue beyond 3 weeks, will there be additional funding for these spaces?
Thank you for that question, Josh. And as you've seen in the past, our government has been very agile when it comes to responding to the pandemic. We know that situations change rapidly, and we will be assessing this. And if this extends, if this remote learning move extends beyond May 30th, then we'll be making decisions and assessments, and I'll be making further announcements.
You mentioned in particular upgrading the level of PPE and masks. Why now upgrade the level of that protection? Why not previously?
We We want to keep our childcare workers and children and families safe, and we know that level 3 PPE is a good initiative, and we used to provide 1 a day. Now we're providing them 3 a day, given that the risk of transmission in community is among us, and the third wave is with a particularly more transmissible variant. And because of that, we want to ensure that our childcare workers are kept safe and are providing them with this equipment.
Our final reporter this afternoon from CTV Winnipeg, Stephanie.
Hi, and so just to be clear with this, is there anything that they need to do if they're hearing this news right now and they did have children in these spaces?
I certainly encourage all parents to be in touch with their local schools and their child care centers who are impacted by the shutdown. But ultimately, if a parent has been sending their child to a before and after school program, they should, in Winnipeg or Brandon, they should know that service has been discontinued effective today, and we have sent out broad communications to that effect prior to this. I would like to highlight, though, that if you are a critical services employee and you've made arrangements for your child to continue in the in-school learning program that is being available for our critical services workers when no other accommodations can be made, that your before and after school program is intact. And we are also wanting to ensure all families with special needs, children who remain in-person learning, their before and after school programming is also available. Those are the only 2 exceptions in Winnipeg and Brandon for attendance in before and after school programming, and those are still available. But all other parents that had before and after school programming for school-aged children in Winnipeg or Brandon, that service is being discontinued until May 30th.
And this wasn't done last year, if I'm recalling. Why is that the case that this is a program that it took to this year to happen?
We want to ensure that we have a strong, stable childcare sector on a go-forward basis. And of course, we are assessing things on a regular basis, working with our childcare sector. I want to thank the many childcare directors and ECEs, as well as the Association, for reaching out and informing my office of urgent needs. And really want to thank my department for responding very quickly and bringing these matters to my attention so that we're able to offer programs and services that will ensure that they are made stable throughout this entire pandemic, so that they can open their doors after this pandemic is over, being stronger than ever.
Thank you, Minister. This concludes our media briefing.
Thank you.